Welcome back to the GSMC College Football Podcast, presented to you by the GSMC Podcast Network on this Thursday, May 15th. Just talked about the Big Ten, the SEC, pretty much against everybody else. But one guy who is going to be playing for a Big Ten team this year is Dakorian Moore. Now, Dakorian Moore, number one wide receiver in the country in the 2025 recruiting class, playing for the Oregon Ducks. And this is a guy that could kind of mirror what we saw in 2024, where freshman wide receivers Jeremiah Smith, Ryan Williams had breakout years, had immediate impacts for those championship contenders. Dakorian Moore could be the next guy up to kind of continue that trend. This is a guy that's a five-star, number one wideout in the country, a dude that really looks like the next breakout star at the position. He's got elite big play speed. He can break anything for a home run, runs really great routes, super crisp in his route running, especially considering his youth. And also a guy that's just got a really high IQ, knows how to play the game, knows how to get in certain spots to help his team succeed. And a guy that's super competitive, extremely fierce, wants to win, and you want to see that out of a wide receiver. I think all of these tools, though, combined, can really help him make an immediate impact for the Ducks this year. Oregon, obviously, they're looking to continue contending in the playoff. They're looking to potentially repeat as Big Ten champions. They had a obviously phenomenal season last year, went undefeated throughout the regular season, but they did lose 3 of their top 4 wide receivers from last year, as well as their best tight end. So this is a team that has an open spot at wide receiver, and I think Dakorian Moore can kind of fill that right away, step into at least a role where he's playing a good chunk of the time, if not even more than that. This could be a guy that develops into a go-to target right away. He's that good, I think. And the ability to come in and a spot where there's not a ton in front of him, it gives him a runway to kind of take off and start on a great note. I think that's a guy to definitely watch out for this year. I'm excited to kind of see how he does for Oregon. Another guy that I think is really intriguing is Missouri running back Marquise Davis. Now, Marquise Davis, this is a 4-star guy, but a dude that could step into a meaningful role right away for a Missouri team that really doesn't have much in their backfield right now. This is a guy that's super thickly built as a running back, a dude that played both ways in high school, also played linebacker, a guy that I think he had about 65 tackles in his junior season as a linebacker, and then just a dude that is super strong, has really nice burst vision combo, also really contributed in the spring, showcased what he can do in the spring, and really impressed that coaching staff at Missouri. So kind of showcased that he's ready to contribute right away to their running attack. But looking at the offensive side of the ball too, if you look at his high school kind of tape, right, he's super productive. A dude that had over 3,800 rushing yards over 2 seasons, 58 touchdowns, and then in 2023, his junior year, had 2,300 rushing yards, 35 rushing touchdowns, which you're averaging 3 rushing touchdowns a game. Pretty crazy. Guy that was the Gatorade Player of the Year for the state of Ohio. A big win for Missouri, getting a kid from Cleveland, Ohio, to come down and play for Eli Drinkwitz there in Columbia, Missouri. But this is a guy that's super physical, really runs with tenacity, doesn't go down on first contact. Guy that's got a little bit of more of a twitch and a kind of wiggle that can work his way through holes, but also more of a north-south runner. He's going to want to get downhill. He's not going to try to make you miss. He's going to try to run you over. Really had a high yards per carry average as well. That junior year, he averaged 8.8 yards per carry. And a guy that can get to the outside, but he hasn't really had any verifiable times in terms of speed. So we're not really sure if he's a true home run hitter. Definitely looks fast enough, but isn't going to be a guy that's going to burn you just in terms of pure speed. Also is able to catch the ball well out of the backfield. Wasn't asked to do that a lot just in their offense there in high school, but is certainly capable of that. And then a guy that also added a lot of weight and strength to his frame going into his senior year, really bulked up, added some added strength, and a guy that has the body, has the build to be a feature back. I think where he landed at Missouri and a spot that doesn't really have a whole lot of proven production in that running back room, this is a guy that can step in right away and have a big time role. On the defensive side of the ball, there's another guy in Jahkeem Stewart from USC. Now, he's more of a projection, I will say. But this is a guy that's 6'6", 270, super long, really explosive off the ball, kind of moves like an edge rusher, but has the size of an interior defender. Definitely still a little bit green. Didn't have a whole lot of high school experience, but if you look at traits, you look at physical tools, a guy that could be more and more impactful as the season goes on. I wouldn't be surprised if USC tries to bring him along slowly, but if he really kind of clicks by the end of the year, I wouldn't be surprised if we see him really kind of breaking out towards the end of the season. I don't know if we're going to see it right away in week 1, 2. We certainly could, but it's a guy that's still kind of periodically segmented in terms of how he moves, how he attacks the pass rushing, how he tries to get to the passer. So kind of a little herky-jerky at times, but really can showcase some straight line just juice in getting to the pass rusher, especially for a guy that has such a huge frame. Really capable inside and outside. I wouldn't be surprised if USC kind of moves him throughout the defensive line just to see where he could potentially stick, where he can make the most impact. A guy that I think he can certainly be involved in sub packages where they're trying to get to the pass rusher. You move him inside, you move him outside, stand him up. As a guy that really kind of physically overmatched his opponents in high school, not sure if he can do that at the NCAA level, at the Big Ten level that he's going to have to play at. But does kind of flash some rip, some swim, nuance moves that if he develops that more, can really be an impact guy for USC. Reportedly had a super highly productive sophomore campaign with 85 tackles, 33 tackles for loss, and 20 sacks. That's kind of reported, though. That's not 100% verified. So don't know if those stats are truly accurate, but if they are, that's pretty freaking impressive. A guy that I think could have a big-time impact for USC. Maybe not week 1, week 2, but certainly week 7, week 8, week 9, week 10, as you get into the meat of your season, as you get into the later parts, October, November. I think this is a guy that could come on much stronger towards the end of the year as he kind of develops some of those pass rushing tools, as he kind of matures and is able to learn how to use his body, use his frame to his advantage. This is a guy that has a lot of potential for USC. Then another running back I'm looking at is Gideon Davidson, Clemson. Now, so this is a kid that was third best running back in the ESPN 2025 kind of recruiting rankings, and enrolled early. And that was a big bonus for Gideon Davidson at Clemson. Really kind of showed out during the spring, impressed the coaching staff there. And kind of the early signs are that he slightly resembles Trevor Etienne, has a really nice quick cut read kind of ability, could step in right away to help replace Phil Maffa, who rushed for 1,100 yards last season for Clemson. But this is a kid that was Virginia's 2024 Gatorade Player of the Year, had more than 8,000 yards from scrimmage throughout his high school career, so super productive, and his youth shouldn't really hold him back in that Clemson's running back room, which is pretty inexperienced overall. So this is a guy that he's not as big as Phil Maffa, but he's faster. He's going to be more explosive and definitely also kind of adds a cutback element when you're looking at zone runs, zone rushes, a guy that can read, change directions, and get upfield, but a guy that's got great vision, good speed, and should fit really nicely into Clemson's offensive scheme. They can utilize him right away as kind of the change of pace, utility back, if he's not the featured back right away, which is also certainly a possibility. But I think even if he's not the featured guy, this is a guy that is going to have a role in the Clemson offense for sure. He's just too talented to keep off the field, and they don't have a whole lot in front of him. And they also have that super experienced passing game in Cade Klubnik, in the wide receivers that they have. That's kind of the perfect situation to take some of the pressure off of Gideon Davidson, which I think could really help him and be a boon for his success at the next level as a freshman in 2025. So now we're going to take another short break on the show. When we come back, we're going to talk about Brett Bielema. Is he kind of being overlooked and disrespected as a head coach? We're going to dive into that when we get back on the GSMC College Football Podcast.